Okay, so welcome back. This is Cymax FinTech. This is our weekly post that we put on YouTube, and this is part 4 where I go through some analysis.
And just a reminder, we've got a lot of inflation data leading up to the FOMC meeting decision this coming week. Expect some big moves, I would say. And of course, it's going to be a question of whether they're going to skip or they're going to do 25 basis points for the Fed. And of course, CPI could swing it one way or the other. And then, of course, you've got ECB, which is pretty much a done deal for a 25 basis point increase. Now, the indices analysis, just going to warn you here, I've moved on now to the September futures contract as June expires this Friday as part of the quad witching. So just a reminder of the legend. So black numbers in the right hand column, they are going to be support and resistance levels based on trend lines. Brown numbers are breakout levels. Claret numbers, these horizontal lines that I put in, are either levels where I see support or resistance, or whether they're on double, triple tops or bottoms. Just a reminder of the pivot point colors and also the fib colors, and there is at least one chart with the fibs this week.
Okay, so if we look at the Dow, I mean, stocks had a good week across the board, really. Now, got resistance at 34,860 and 34,441. The yellow line in there is where I sort of looked and found the neckline of that head and shoulders that's there. So it closed just above that again. Whether it can sustain it, we're going to have to wait and see. There's not too much data out this week, so that could benefit stocks. And then support lower down at 32,417. On the 30-minute, as you can see, crept up a little bit of profit taking just on the close. I've got resistance at 34,215 and support at 33,958, and then a lower support at 33,332. Moving on to the S&P. I've got resistance at 44.14 and 43.91, with support at 42.25 and also at 41.12. So, if as the week progresses there, if it remains within those levels, it's going to be due for a breakout next week by the looks of things. Well, the week after. So, again, it just depends. Now the balls are back in play, maybe they'll try and run it up, but remember, it's just a view, it's not recommendation. Okay, looking at the 30-minute, R2 held in well towards the end of the day. It sort of rejected that, and I've got resistance now pretty much at the same level, which is 43.96, and I've got support at 43.25. So again, pivots was okay last week, not as good as usual. Wednesday, there was good opportunities. Tuesday, Monday to sort of get long around the pivot levels, and of course it was a really good up week, so a real turnaround for the stocks in the US. And then Nasdaq, so I've got resistance at 14,995. And of course it's closed above that, so resistance becomes support, so I'll be looking at that for maybe perhaps a retest and then a bounce, and that then, if it's going to do that, then it's going to go up and test 15,527. On the downside, I've got support at 14,451 and 14,202, which is quite a nice solid line there. The longer the gap between the support trend lines and things like that, the stronger for me they become. And I always try and get 3 points as well. Sometimes you have to sell for 2, but I'm always keen to get 3. Okay, and then got the Nasdaq in that uptrend there for on the 30-minute. So I got resistance at 15,246 and support at 15,024. The Russell 2000. So here, when we look at this, I got resistance at 1779. And I got support at 1651. Just remember, you know, these are small cap stocks, so these are much more sensitive to what's going on with consumers, which is why it's really been underperforming. On the 30-minute, got resistance at 1779, and I've got support at 1733. Moving on to cable, pound against the dollar. So, you know, earlier in the week it sort of tested the 120s, and then on Friday, because of that jobs data, it had a big, the pound had a big rally. The dollar weakened on Friday, but again, you know, for me, they've still got the best economy. I've got resistance at 124.24, and also on that trend line at 123.93, with support pretty much at the lows of last week, around about 120.93. On the 30-minute, I've got resistance at 124.02 and support at 122.81. And then lower down at 121.87 and 121.71. Yep, even the euro managed to rally, especially on Friday as the dollar weakened. So a couple of trend lines in there, quite reasonable ones. So I've got resistance at 107.65 and support at 105.41. Sorry, and higher up I got resistance at 109.56 as well, should it manage to break out. Again, you know, it's all about dollar weakness rather than any strength in the pound or the euro. Okay, so on the 30-minute, I've got resistance at 107.76 and 107.61. I've got a breakout level at 107.12. So if it, you know, if the dollar strengthens or the euro weakens, 107.12 could come into play there. So, you know, I look at it more. Sometimes it's a support line that turns into resistance if it breaks through there. To me, that one is just much more a breakout. If it gets below that 107.12, then I would expect the market to move lower. And then support at 106.32 and 106.12. Again, pivots had some good opportunities. I would look at Friday. I mean, you know, it really hugged that pivot point until it broke out as the day went on. Okay, Bitcoin. So again, you know, it's much, well, not much stronger, but it's definitely holding its own. And we're seeing that, you know, it broke 36,000 on Thursday. So I've got resistance now at 36,632, and I've got a couple of support levels at 34. Can't quite see the one underneath, but they're both around about the 34,290 level. But if it does have a turn on the downside, then if it gets through that 31,650 level, then again I'm seeing that as a breakout level. Again, it's another one of those that's maybe not so much of a support. So here we've got the Nasdaq against the Bitcoin, and again, you know, where they sort of crossed, they're sort of coming back to meet again because the stocks had a good rally, and Bitcoin couldn't really sustain their strong sort of performance. You know, it's when you think it's come really well off the lows for sure, after it went through its winter, but you know, they are getting closer. Whether it's going to be Bitcoin come off more, or whether the stocks can continue to rally, it's a week without too much data coming out, so it's going to be very much down to the traders. Just keep an eye, obviously, on the geopolitical situations that are going on, though. Okay, gold. I mean, that does have some moves, doesn't it? So yeah, you know, it got back into the 1970s last week, and then sort of rallied all the way back up, and so yeah, I mean, it closed pretty much at 2000. So again, you know, if it spends this week sort of within those trend lines, then we're getting close to a breakout one way or the other again. But that'll probably happen the week after. But you know, gold's just got that volatility at the moment, so it makes it a good trade, but you just got to be really careful with your risk management. So I've got resistance at 2043. I've got resistance at 2015. I've got support at 1981 and also at 1950. So you know, we've got some reasonable trend lines there. So when we look at the 30-minute, got resistance at 2016, got support at 1998, 1990 and 1986. Finally, oil, WTI. So yeah, so again, you know, sort of geopolitically, everything's not quite as bad as traders thought it could turn out, but it still can change, of course. And we saw that reflected in oil as it sort of closed towards the lower end of the week's range. So I've got resistance at 90.77 and 83.38, I think it is, and then I've got support at 79.97. And so, you know, yeah, so oil's just going to be sort of more sensitive to anything that's going on geopolitically at the moment, for any disruption. But of course, it's been drifting lower with expectations that, you know, sort of the economies are continuing to weaken, which is going to reduce demand. And then finally, we have the WTI 30-minute chart, and we've got resistance at 83.62 and support at 79.96 based on the 30-minute. Some good opportunities in oil on Friday. So yeah, I mean, again, it depends what your interest is. It's always about finding the contracts to trade that suit your personality and your risk appetite best. And of course, that means experimenting with all of them. Emphasis on a demo account just to make sure, and find those ones that really work the best for you. And of course, if you need some help with that, then either join our courses or reach out to me. I'm happy to give some advice anyway, and we can take it from there. So yeah, so that just leaves me to sort of just say, you know, just watch the last few slides and have a great week.
Again, just finally, a little reminder of what we do. So apart from the YouTubes, daily newsletters that go straight to your inbox each morning to provide you with global headlines, global news, and also my views. And then if you'd like to subscribe, we also provide chart levels and pivot points. When it comes to courses, we offer everything from one-day workshops, one-week courses. One of those includes a free trading challenge, up to the comprehensive masterclass, which is an accredited course, and the next one of that starts in a week's time on the 19th of June. So if you're interested, then contact us quickly because those places won't be around for long. Now, also trader mentoring, where we help traders improve and get to that next level time and again. We consult to companies, FX and commodity exposure. We provide a whole platform and mass of educational content to individuals, exchanges and brokers. And as usual, we start with our disclaimer. So trading involves the potential risk of loss of capital. It's not suitable for everyone, although hopefully it is for you. When it comes to leverage, just be careful because you can lose substantially more than that initial investment. Everything we include in here is just purely for educational purposes. We're not trying to provide you with advice, we're just trying to help you prepare, understand the markets better, to help you make better decisions. But of course, if you are looking to invest or trade, that has to be your decision. And before you make that, you should consider your financial situation, your level of experience and your risk appetite. And of course, on your risk capital, you're prepared, but more importantly, can afford to lose. If you've got any doubts whatsoever, seek independent financial advice before risking your capital.